The bell over the door jingled as an older black man in a simple jacket walked into the small town diner. It was early morning, and the smell of coffee and bacon filled the air. He looked around quietly. No one recognized him. That was exactly how he wanted it. He owned this diner, but today, he wasn't the boss. Today, he was just a customer. He walked up to the counter, smiled, and said softly, "Can I get a turkey sandwich to go?" One of the cashiers, a young woman with her hair tied tight in a bun, didn't even look up. "We're kinda busy," she said in a sharp tone. The other cashier, a guy with a smirk, leaned close to her and whispered, but the man heard every word. "Why do we keep getting people like him in here? They can never afford much anyway." The man froze. His hand tightened around the wallet in his pocket. He could feel his heart beat faster, not from anger, but from something deeper. The words hit hard. He had built this place from the ground up. Every brick, every booth, every paycheck they cashed came from his effort. The cashier finally rang up his order, still muttering under her breath, "Probably gonna tip 50 cents. He stayed quiet, eyes calm but sharp. He looked around at the customers, families eating, laughter in the booths, waitresses smiling. This diner was supposed to be a place where everyone felt welcome. When his sandwich came, he thanked her softly. But as he turned to leave, he caught one more thing. The guy cashier chuckled and said, "Imagine if the owner saw us wasting time on people like him." The man stopped. For a long moment, he just stood there, his face unreadable. Then, slowly, a faint, knowing smile appeared. If only they knew, the owner was standing right in front of them. He whispered to himself, "Let's see what you both really think when the truth comes out." He stepped outside, the cool breeze brushing against his face. He didn't take a single bite of the sandwich. Instead, he sat in his truck across the street, watching through the diner's big glass window. The two cashiers were laughing, chatting carelessly, as if nothing they said had meant anything. He sighed deeply. For years, he had trusted his staff to treat people right, to keep the spirit of the diner alive, the same diner he built after serving 20 years in the army. It wasn't just a business to him, it was his dream. He pulled out his phone, opened the security camera app, and replayed the last few minutes. Every word, every whisper, every insult, caught perfectly on camera. He shook his head slowly. "So this is what happens when the boss isn't watching," he muttered. Later that afternoon, he returned, this time through the back door. He changed into his usual clothes, a pressed shirt, a clean jacket, and the badge with his name engraved in gold, Mr. Lewis, owner. The cook, an older man named Eddie, grinned when he saw him. "Boss, didn't know you were in town." Lewis smiled faintly. "Just got back this morning. Thought I'd grab a bite, but seems I walked in on a different kind of meal." Eddie frowned. "Something happened." Lewis just patted his shoulder. "You'll see." Minutes later, he walked out front. The two cashiers froze mid-laughter. Their smiles vanished instantly. The woman's face went pale. The guy's mouth dropped open. "Good afternoon," Lewis said, voice calm but heavy. "I stopped by earlier. Didn't recognize me, did you?" The room went silent. A customer at the counter looked between them, sensing something was off. Lewis leaned slightly forward, his tone still soft but cutting like steel. "I heard every word you said this morning." The woman stammered, "Sir, we didn't mean." He raised a hand. Just don't. You judged a man by his skin before you even looked at his heart." The air thickened. The cashiers looked like they wanted to disappear. Then Lewis placed his phone on the counter, pressed play, and the diner filled with the sound of their own voices. "People like him can't afford much anyway." The customers turned, eyes widened. The truth was out, and there was no hiding now. The diner went completely silent. Even the sizzling from the grill in the kitchen seemed to fade away. The woman's hands started shaking as the recording played. The young man looked down, his jaw tight, pretending to clean the counter but unable to meet Mr. Lewis' eyes. Lewis stood there, calm and quiet, letting the shame settle in. Every customer in the room was watching, a few whispering, some shaking their heads. When the clip ended, he turned off the phone and slipped it back into his pocket. "You know what hurts the most," he said softly. "It's not what you said about me. It's that you said it about the very people this diner was built for, hardworking folks, no matter who they are." The woman's eyes welled up. "Sir, I swear, we didn't." He cut her off gently but firmly. "You didn't think I'd hear it. That's the only truth here." Eddie peeked out from the kitchen, clearly realizing what was going on. "Boss, you want me to clear the floor?" he asked. Louis shook his head. "No, let them stay. I want everyone to hear this." He looked back at the two cashiers. "I started this diner with one goal, to give people a place where they could feel welcome. When I came back from overseas, this was my new mission. I didn't build it for profit. I built it for respect." The man cashier finally spoke, his voice trembling. "Sir, please, we just messed up. We didn't mean any harm." Louis stepped closer, his expression unreadable. "You didn't just mess up. You showed what you really think when no one's watching." He paused, letting the words sink in. "But you're lucky, because I was watching." A few customers started clapping softly, not out of mockery, but respect. One older woman whispered, "Good for him." Louis nodded to Eddie, "Take over the counter. These two are done for today." The woman's tears spilled as she whispered, "Are we fired?" Louis didn't answer right away. He just looked at her, then at the young man. "Let's just say, you've got one last chance to prove this place still means something to you." He turned and walked to his office at the back, leaving the whole diner in stunned silence. But deep down, Louis knew, this wasn't over. Something inside him said there was more going on than just a couple of rude cashiers. And he was about to find out what it was. In his small office, Louis sat down behind the old wooden desk that had been his since the diner first opened. The faint hum of the refrigerator filled the silence as he leaned back, staring at the security monitor. He scrolled through the footage from the past few weeks, looking for answers, and what he found made his stomach twist. The same two cashiers had been giving discounts to certain customers, only to people they liked. Others, especially anyone who looked different or couldn't speak English well, got rude service or overcharged bills. Louis clenched his jaw. "So that's what's been going on behind my back," he muttered. He grabbed his phone and called his manager, a woman named Clara. "Clara, come by the diner right now. We need to talk." Within 15 minutes, Clara walked in, her eyes widening when she saw the tense atmosphere. "Boss, what happened?" Louis pointed at the screen. "Watch this." She leaned over, watching the footage play. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh no, not again. That's the third complaint this month, isn't it?" Louis nodded slowly. "And I ignored the first two because I believed they'd learn. But this," he tapped the screen, showing their smirking faces. "This isn't a mistake. It's who they've become when no one's watching." Clara frowned. "What do you want to do?" Louis thought for a long moment, then finally said, "Not fire them. Not yet. I want them to understand what they've been doing." He stood up, his voice firm now. "Tomorrow morning, we're opening early. I'm bringing in a few of my old friends. People they'll never expect. Let's see how they treat them when they think I'm not around." Clara raised an eyebrow. "You mean, undercover again?" Louis smiled slightly. "Exactly. But this time, they won't be the only ones tested." That night, as the diner lights went off and the staff went home, Louis stayed behind, sipping cold coffee and staring out the window. He could have fired them on the spot. He could have called the police for overcharging customers. But that wasn't who he was. He whispered to himself, "Justice isn't about anger, it's about change."